Most people don't quit when things get hard. They quit when they're almost done. That's the part nobody talks about. And honestly, that one fact broke something open in my brain when I first came across it. Because we've been told the story wrong our whole lives. We think quitters give up early. We think the danger zone is the beginning, when motivation is low and the goal still feels far away. But the research tells a completely different story. The real danger zone? It's right before the finish line. And there are very specific psychological reasons why that happens. Reasons that have nothing to do with laziness, nothing to do with willpower, and everything to do with how the human brain actually works under pressure. So if you've ever been working towards something, really working for months, maybe years, and then one day you just slowed down, started finding reasons to wait, and eventually quietly stopped, this video is going to feel uncomfortably personal. And I mean that in the best possible way. Okay, so the first thing we need to talk about is your battery. Not a metaphorical battery, like a real functional depleting resource inside your brain. Psychologists call it ego depletion, but forget the term. Here's what it actually means. Every decision you make costs something. Every time you resist the easier option, every time you push through doubt, every time you choose discipline over comfort, your brain is spending energy. And here's the cruel part. The longer you've been chasing a goal, the more you've already spent. So the person who's been dieting 11 months, they're not weaker than they were on day one, they are genuinely, measurably more depleted. The writer who's on the last chapter of their book, not less committed, exhausted. And exhaustion, when it goes deep enough, starts to sound like wisdom. It starts whispering things like, maybe this isn't the right path, or maybe I need a break, or maybe I should just reassess. And we listen to it like it's telling us the truth. It isn't. It's just fatigue wearing a blazer and pretending to be logic. So here's the reframe I want you to hold on to. If you feel like giving up near the end of something, that's not a sign that you should stop. That's proof that you've been actually working. Those are two completely different things. Now, here's the second layer, and I was honestly a little shook when I really understood this one. Most of us assume that the closer we get to a goal, the more motivated we'll feel. Like you'd think proximity would be exciting, right? And sometimes it is. But for a lot of people, getting close doesn't trigger excitement, it triggers fear. And not the fear you'd expect, not fear of failure, fear of success. Think about it this way. When you're at the beginning of something, failure is basically free. You haven't invested much, nobody's really watching, the stakes are low. But when you're close, when you've been grinding for 2 years, told your friends and family what you're doing, rearranged your entire life around this thing, pictured the outcome more times than you can count, failure at that point doesn't feel abstract anymore. It feels catastrophic. So the brain does something sneaky. It creates distance. It manufactures excuses. It convinces you to step back before you can fall. Because giving up on your own terms feels so much safer than failing in front of everyone. I read about a woman once who spent 3 years building toward launching her own business. She had everything, the plan, the savings, the skills, the contacts, and she just didn't launch. For months, she kept saying she was still preparing, still tweaking things, still not quite ready. But she wasn't preparing, she was standing at the edge of everything she'd ever wanted, and she was too terrified to jump. Not because she didn't believe in herself, because she believed in it so much that the thought of it not working felt like it would destroy her. Crazy, right? The more something means to you, the harder it is to actually go for it. And if you ever sabotaged yourself right before something good, right before the promotion, the launch, the relationship, the breakthrough, that's the exact reason why. Okay, the third thing, and this one genuinely surprised me. It's called identity disruption, and it's way more powerful than most people give it credit. Here's the simple version. We are deeply attached to our own story, the way we see ourselves, the labels we carry, the character we play in our own life. And here's the problem with achieving a big goal. It changes the story. If you've spent years thinking of yourself as the person who's still working on it, the underdog, the one with potential, the one who's almost there, then actually arriving means that person doesn't exist anymore. And even if that old identity was painful, it was familiar. And the brain prefers familiar, even when familiar is uncomfortable. I think about people who lose a lot of weight and then slowly gain it back, or people who finish a degree and then can't bring themselves to start the career it was for. The external result arrived, but internally, the identity never caught up. And the brain, in its loyalty to what feels like home, quietly pulls you back. So the work isn't just the goal. The work is letting yourself become someone new. That's the quieter, harder kind of work. It's sitting with the discomfort of thinking, am I actually allowed to be this person now? Spoiler, you are. Fourth thing, and honestly, this one might sting a little. There's this concept in positive psychology called the arrival fallacy. It was explored by a psychologist named Tal Ben-Shahar, and the basic idea is this. We are terrible at predicting how good achieving a goal actually is going to feel. We build it up in our heads as this transformational moment, like once I get there, everything changes. But research consistently shows that when people actually cross their finish lines, they don't feel transformed. They often feel flat, like a weird, so what now, emptiness that nobody warned them about. And I know that sounds depressing, but stay with me here, because I think somewhere deep down, part of your brain has already figured this out. It's already sensed that the arrival might not feel like the movies. And so it pulls back. It thinks, why bleed myself dry for something that's just going to feel hollow? Which, honestly, is a reasonable question. But the answer isn't to stop chasing things. The answer is to stop expecting them to complete you. Goals aren't destinations, they're chapters. The next chapter is going to be richer because of everything this one is costing you. The satisfaction is real, it just lives in the journey as much as the finish line. And once you know that, you stop white-knuckling towards some magical moment and you start actually living the thing you're building. Fifth, and I say this with so much compassion, sometimes people give up because they don't actually believe they deserve to win. Not consciously. Nobody walks around thinking, I don't deserve good things. But self-worth research is pretty clear on this. Our behavior follows our beliefs. And if somewhere underneath all the hustle and the goal boards and the vision plans, there's a quiet voice that says, you're not really the kind of person who gets to have that, your actions will start to reflect that belief without you even realizing it. You'll procrastinate, you'll create small dramas that eat your time, you'll tell yourself the timing is off, you'll find reasons it's not working. And you'll do all of that not because you're broken, but because your brain is trying to protect you from wanting something it doesn't think you're allowed to have. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Worthiness isn't something you earn at the finish line, it's something you practice claiming right now. Before the proof, before the result, before anyone else believes in it. You don't wait until you've succeeded to decide you deserve success. You decide first, and then you move from that place. Okay, sixth and final thing, and I want you to write this one down somewhere. Sometimes giving up isn't exhaustion, it's resistance, and it's wearing exhaustion's clothes. Author Stephen Pressfield talks about this, and psychology backs it up hard. The closer you are to something that truly matters to you, the louder the internal noise gets. Not because the path is wrong, because it's right. Because anything real and meaningful is going to require a version of you that's just a little ahead of where you currently are. And closing that gap is uncomfortable. And discomfort, when it's quiet and persistent, will eventually start dressing itself as reason. Maybe I started too late. Maybe this isn't really for me. Maybe I need to be more realistic. None of those are truths. They're just resistance doing its job. The louder that voice gets, the closer you probably are. So let's land this plane, because I want you to sit with this for a second. Giving up near the finish line isn't random. It isn't weakness. It's depletion. It's fear of success. It's identity shifting under your feet. It's anticipating a hollow arrival. It's unexamined self-worth doing quiet damage. It's resistance disguised as logic. Every single one of those things is valid. Every single one of them makes complete sense, and not one of them is a reason to stop. They're just the terrain. They're what the path actually looks like when the thing you're chasing is real. So if there's something you've been quietly drifting away from, a project, a goal, a version of yourself you've been slowly building, I'm not here to hype you up. I'm just asking one honest question. What would it look like to take one more step? Not all the steps, just one. Because the people who make it aren't the ones who never wanted to quit. They're the ones who understood exactly why they wanted to and chose to move anyway. You've already done so much of the hard work. Don't let the last stretch be the part that beats you. If this hit close to home, subscribe, because this is the kind of conversation we have here. Honest, quiet, actually useful. And there's a lot more where this came from.